Hi, good afternoon, Di. Thank you for being here. So, just to say to our listeners, I'm Dee Wilkinson from Southwest Coaching, and I'm a coach and coach supervisor. And I'll let Di introduce herself. Over to you, Di.
Okay, thank you very much, Dee. I am Di Gamage. I'm a child and adult psychotherapist. So I did a training in Buddhist psychotherapy, which feels actually really quite relevant for what we're talking about. I'm also a play therapist, and I was a drama therapist for 3 decades. I'm also a clinical supervisor and an author, and yeah, I work in the field of trauma.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Huge amount of life experience there and professionalism. And what's interesting, so what we are going to talk about today is we were talking the other day, weren't we? And we were discussing the backdrop and context to our two worlds of coaching and therapy, and how
Yeah.
20 years ago the extremes of coaching was very much down this end and therapy was very much this end, and never the twain shall meet, and how things have changed over the last 20 years with us coming up against each other's boundaries, if you like. And I think it brings us neatly into the topic. So where I'm coming from at the moment is around what's happening for coaches in the here and now, in the context the world's in. And I'm finding a lot of coaches that are coming to me for supervision are a bit discombobulated, if that's the right word, with a lot of transference and parallel process happening because of the context of the wider system geopolitically in what's happening. So I thought it was an interesting conversation to have, and in respect of what you're finding in your world in therapy, and how we can reassure our clients, if you like, in terms of the coaches and the therapists out there about what they might need to be mindful of in order to look after themselves in this climate.
Yeah,
So
yes, absolutely. It's funny when you said about the two separate worlds of coaching and therapy and how they've kind of come together. I had an image of a dance, really, and that there is an overlap between the two. Obviously they are different, and they have got very different boundaries and contracting, but we are working with humans, and we're also human, and so we are going to be affected by and affect our clients, and at the end of the day we're all affected by what's going on in the world. I don't think there's anybody who cannot be affected by what's going on in the world, and the huge changes and the uncertainty and a lot of fear, and that it feels like events are happening in the world that feel quite unreal, and difficult for us to make any sense of. And I think that conversation that you and I had the other day was about how do we, as coaches and therapists, find our own ground and not, as much as we possibly can, because we are human at the same time, not be pulled into the extremes that we're seeing in the world, but to hold that space of inquiry and curiosity as well. I think is really important. But I think curiosity is a difficult thing when people are feeling unsafe.
Yeah.
And so I think our jobs, our respective jobs, are about where do people find the safety and that sense of certainty in themselves when everything around them is changing. And I think at times like this, professions like therapy and coaching can feel to some people like the cherry on the icing on the cake. But for me, actually, what we do is so fundamental to the cake itself. And they're not luxuries. They're actually we are creating those spaces to help people reflect and respond to, rather than react and feed into the splits and the divisions and the hatred that we're seeing around us in the world.
Yeah.
I also think that we have to be realistic. We're not going to change the world, but what we can do is change ourselves, be the change. And I spoke about that because it feels really important. I can't change anyone else. What I can do is be present for myself, and whoever I'm sitting with can experience that and allow themselves to be present for themselves too. Yeah, so they're small, they feel like they're small and possibly, you know, in the scheme of things insignificant, but actually they are the kind of the essence really of what I think it is to be human, actually.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And it was triggering lots of thoughts for me in respect of our roles, where we can be a bit of a stake in the ground for people, because in the same way, I'm sure fear acts out in therapy, in coaching, when we're in that place, it's shutting down our thinking.
Yeah.
And we're already in a world that is creating a sense of disempowerment, because it's shifting sands we're all on. We're not sure where it's going. It's hard to plan, isn't it, when the sands are shifting? We're trying to sort of ground ourselves and see where we're at. So yeah. Again, through some coaches that I'm supervising, that shifting sands and sense of uncertainty, they're recognizing the feelings of disempowerment out there, but it's also creating the feelings of disempowerment in them. You know, what can they do? But holding that safe space, I think, is fundamental for people to reground and be able to think. And I think coaching and therapy offers a really big pushback to society, the community, the world, about it's about empowerment. It's not about being run over. It's about giving people back their power. And I totally agree. It's a fundamental space. So it shouldn't be a luxury or an add-on. It's the very space where really good, creative, solid thinking can come from. So I fully engage with what you're saying. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think it's about being where we are, not trying to be somewhere else, acknowledging our vulnerability, because at the end of the day, we're all of us vulnerable. Of course we are. But it's about kind of helping us make sense of what our values are. In fact, what was it our colleague said the other day? I wrote it down: living your ethic.
Yes.
Wonderful Hannah said that. And it's like, what are our ethics? What are our values that we hold dear? And I think so much is under threat. And I think for me, empowerment is about holding on to those ethics, because they are what makes us us, and what makes us value life, what makes life valuable, actually. And I'm all life. I'm actually feeling quite moved. I heard something on the radio today, and it was this wonderful, it was on the food program, and it was this family who had set up communal eating in Copenhagen. And he said, when you look out the window, there's a lot of people suffering out there. There's a lot happening in the world that is not great. What I can do is create a space here for people to come together and to eat together and to talk and to communicate with each other. And even down to a basic thing like there is no sign for the toilet. He said, because I want people to ask someone else, where is the toilet, and to communicate with each other. And for me, it's about how do we communicate? How do we listen to each other? We're so ready in our world to be defensive, to attack, to criticize, to blame, to shame. You know, we see it everywhere. So how can we hold that space where we can genuinely be open, have that open mind, that beginner's mind, to really listen and try to understand? We don't necessarily have to agree with each other. And that would be ridiculous to say that we all of us have to agree. But can we really listen and hear what someone else is saying, and open up that space? You know, we might agree, okay, you're there and I'm here, but at least we can talk to each other. So, I mean, you know, but for me, the small steps, they are small steps. We change the world by changing ourselves.
Absolutely. And yeah, that's the premise in terms of sort of coaching, isn't it? As well as therapy, we can't change other people. We can only change our reaction, and that's part of our development and growth, isn't it?
Absolutely.
On that journey. So very, very important message indeed. So if we were going to round this off in a nutshell, what would be your message to people listening right now?
My message would be the serenity prayer came up for me then, and it's something that I say to probably quite a lot of people, is, you know, to be aware of what we can change and what we can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Lovely.
But actually to invest in, you know, valuing our ethics, honoring our ethics, and what makes us human. And yeah, just kind of being, you know, you talked about therapists and coaches being that stake in the ground. That for me, you know, if we develop that metaphor, putting down roots and growing, because actually, you know, we are so phenomenally blessed being on this earth. And I can say that, but you look at this earth, it is springtime. The earth is kind of going, do you know what? I'm just getting on with being spring right now. So sort of putting down roots, and that, you know, finding an image or a metaphor that works for you, that allows you to deepen and to expand and to grow and to blossom. What supports you in your growth? What resources you to be as big as you can be?
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. I think that's so true. I think that's so true, and it is focusing on what we can do, not what we can't. A bit like the circle of influence and circle of concern for everybody. And as frightening as some things can be, I want to hold on to the space that in every challenge there's an opportunity. So if we can stay calm in our thinking and think, what's the opportunity for us individually, our clients, or whoever we are, what's the opportunity for learning here? How can I expand and grow and develop within these circumstances? Because it's creating a massive shift for people, isn't it? It's a massive shift.
It's a huge shift.
So let's embrace any positivity that we can out of that shift. To use to our advantages.
And you know, also life is pretty hard right now for very many people, you know, and not candy coating that either.
No,
you know, we're not fairy godmothers and going to wave a magic wand here. This is not what this is about. That's the stuff of fairy tales. This is real life. And what is it that you can bring into your life that is going to support you? Yeah.
There's a lovely part, and I know we need to finish, so I'll keep it brief as well, but just looking for moments of joy.
Yeah.
I think it's so important, you know, to if you've got a bird feeder, to look at the birds on the bird feeder, to hear a robin sing, to really study a daffodil, to have a moment with a friend, or make yourself a nice cup of tea, and just start to count those moments of joy up in the day, and keep reflecting on, because actually
Yeah.
it's really easy to spiral down in our thinking, isn't it? So
much.
a message as well.
Yeah.
Thanks
So
to the-
I'm going to add one more thing to that, because I think it's really important, is to come to your senses, because everything that you've just said there is about being in your senses. So yeah, smell the spring. I'm going to stop there.
Be present, as my
Be
dogs
present.
are just telling me.
Yes, they are.
I'm so sorry, everybody, that the dogs are anyway. So thank you, Di. I'm really genuinely grateful for your time today. We could talk for hours, I know, but let's get that message of hope out there, and support, and let's hope, you know, that helps somebody reset their thinking, and that'll be wonderful.
Indeed.
All right, Mother.
Thank you, Dee.
Take care.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks to Di for that really lovely interview. And just to mention, if you are a coach out there and you're looking for some support or some supervision, you can obviously contact me, dw@southwestcoaching.co.uk. Equally, I know sometimes supervision individual sessions are out of people's reach, or they feel quite expensive. So we've set up a free coaching community to support coaches. So coaches just like yourselves, you're free to join. Come and join us. There's also, for a different membership level, you can come and have informal supervision, sort of ask me anything sessions, Q&As, where you can meet with like-minded people and we can all support each other. So it might be really helpful in these times. So you can find that at https://southwestcoaching.podia.com. So come and join us in our free community, and we look forward to seeing you. Take care for now. Bye bye.